Alright, so next we're going to repot this Bougainvillea bonsai in this beautiful granite marble little tiny pot. Crap. So this should fit in there perfectly actually. So the first thing we gotta do is drill a hole. So sadly, it broke in half when I was drilling a hole through it, but I guess it has a little bit of character now. So I used some Gorilla hot glue. I think it dried up before I can get it to seal tighter than that, but like I said, now it has character and a cool story behind it. Wrapped it with a little bit of wire to help hold, and because it's such a lightweight plant, easy to pick up, easy to move, I shouldn't really have too many issues with it. In worst case scenario, I'll just wrap it with a little bit of tape or something. But yeah, so Bougainvillea. I'm gonna recycle some of this dirt, which we'll basically put on the bottom of that, and then we'll use all new bonsai soil right on the top of it. Trim these roots down as much as possible because again, this pot is extremely small, so honestly most people would probably tell me that I'm using a pot that's way too small, but you know, it'll work. Alright, this is what it looks like pre-trim. So I've heard people say you know, you only want to trim off maybe 30%, but I've watched many videos and people trim, I mean, quite a bit. So we're just gonna come back down, trim that off like that, and pray that we didn't kill it. Pot it in there nicely. If anybody was ever wondering how we keep the plants held in place, we are going to wire it like this from the bottom, not the plant, it's the branches, but the actual base of the plant. So there's like a tiny little hole already inside of that hole, and I need to move the camera around for a second and show you guys how. Basically we'll take this, like I said, we'll run it into that hole that we created. Perfect. Like this. And now we have something that looks similar to that right there. And we'll just take this and squeeze it in here like such. And then what I like to do is use just a little bit of the organic bonsai soil. It's got, like, you know, sphagnum moss in there and stuff like that. I think that helps a lot. And from there, we will take a handful of our bonsai soil for drainage. Like such. And sorry guys, I don't have my tripod today. And then we just use, you know, chopstick, screwdriver, something to kind of get everything nice and snug in between the loose roots. Just like that. And then if I can do this without too much interruption. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to take this one and go behind like that. trim that off. One second. My dog's chewing something up. Give me that. Oh man, he chews everything, guys. Everything. So, like such. So I'm no bonsai expert, guys. Barely a beginner. So everything you see me doing for the most part is experimental. But this is what we have here. This is what we have here. And then I'll take another little dab. Because to me the moss sticks to this type of soil much better. And then for this one, let's see, we have different types of moss. I do not know the actual names of them. But before we do that, let's put a little water in this thing. And because this is such a tiny, tiny little pot, I'm going to use this particular patch of moss. I don't have much of this, but this is actually one of my favorite patches that we collected. Super thick and fluffy, and we have more than enough to do this patch. Usually I'll just damp it, get it nice and soaked. So this moss has actually been sitting out for a few days. So I'm hoping that putting it inside of this pot will kind of bring it back so we can get nice and healthy again. And we just fill it in like patchwork. And honestly, I think this is going to be a little too fluffy for this. So we'll go with something a little thinner than that. Pablo, what are you doing over there? Move. So now I like to just press it down firmly, and then I like to come around the edges kind of trim up the edges. So, not too bad looking, I don't think. And here we have, let's get some more natural light on this. And that's it. So in a couple more days, like I said, this moss has been sitting out for about 2 days. But a few days / weeks, the moss will begin to get nice and moist and fluffy and plush again. So let that soak up a little moisture for a few minutes. Let the moss get nice and moist. And so now again, this is just my particular style of doing bonsai. Everything's pretty experimental. And that's about it, guys. Tell me what you guys think. Like I said, this thing will get like probably like 1 or 2 beautiful, beautiful flowers. And it does look like we're starting to ramify here. These are starting to come out, I believe, very slowly. So, but this is sprouted over the last like 2-3 weeks. This one, I can see this one coming. So yeah, we'll get like 1 or 2 nice, beautiful, like pinkish, slightly purplish flowers. Hopefully, this coming up season.